why is it that women in general don't get the same opportunities as men in triathlon?
This is the Game Changers Experience. Deep dive conversations with leading business disruptors, Olympic athletes, celebrities, entrepreneurs, and influencers from around the world. This show will teach you insights about the winning principles in mindset, productivity, marketing, branding, entrepreneurship, business strategy, and more. Hosted by Productivity Authority, business strategist, former elite athlete, author, and public speaker, Adam Strong.
In order to achieve a goal I've never done before, I have to operate in that unknown space. But if I'm planning it from my space of knowledge, I'll never be able to achieve something I've not achieved before. Mm-hmm. There's a bit of a brain mess, but if I always do what I've always done, I'll always get what I've always got. In order to have something I've never had before, I have to operate from that unknown state. So if I come from anytime I catch myself saying, I know it, I've done this before, I stop. That means I'm going on the wrong path, that I'm going to achieve something from my past and not that new level of awareness or goal setting or achievements that I want to.
Interesting. Really interesting. Tell us about your, and we talked about this offline actually, your, I guess, I don't know if it's a Guinness World Record, which is the 24-hour stationary bike challenge, which I think is in November of this year in 2020. Tell us about that. Why are you doing it? Just out of curiosity. And stationary bike for 24 hours. What are you going to do that? What are you actually going to do for 24 hours apart from just cycle your legs? And yeah, I'm just fascinated.
Pretty much that's what I've been doing. I will have a support team around me as witnesses because it is an official Guinness attempt for a record.
Sure.
But yeah, that's pretty much what I'll be doing. Why I'm doing it, I did attempt it about 4 years ago and failed. So I achieved the time, but not the distance. 2 weeks prior to the Guinness allowing me to do it, they said I needed to cycle 800 kilometers and I hadn't been training enough to merit that distance. So I still did it knowing that I most probably would fail. So it's been on my list of, exploration again. But I'm always curious and looking for things that people haven't done before to remove that glass ceiling of humanity, covering what I said earlier. And a lot of problems we face today, we can't solve from our current way of thinking. We need to elevate our consciousness and do things that we've never done before. So no female has ever cycled officially 24 hours on a static bicycle. So I'm doing it to sort of step up from femininity, because male has done this, to say we can too. And what else could you do in your life that we deemed impossible or not having been done before?
It's interesting because I know that we were talking offline around the whole kind of, I know that in athletics, for example, it's a little bit different from triathlon, but why is it that, I guess, and I don't know if this is generally in sport, but I know that certainly in the world of athletics and things like that, and triathlon, why is it that women in general don't get the same opportunities as men in triathlon? I know this is just completely way off par, but I'm a big fan of supporting women and whatever they do and that kind of stuff. Love to know. And I guess you're raising awareness around the whole kind of equality stuff, which I love, by the way. It's fantastic, which is really great. So, tell us, I don't know what your thoughts are around that.
I don't know, in short. I've got assumptions, but I'm very mindful to come from an objective point of view, not just sort of fan the fillings of ranting and hearsay. I am working with university lecturers around researching this topic, but I suppose if we just look at our daily, if we all own it as every one of us is responsible. There's the FA Football League, where most of us know at least a dozen male footballer names. There's the equivalent league for females. Does that get the same airtime? Do we actually watch it as much as the men? Do we have a certain unconscious bias running in our head when we think of female footballers versus males? Do we already say, and I say it in my head, I'll put my hand up, they're not as good. They're not as, they're not as dancing. They're not as, graceful on the match, on the pitch. So I think all of us as individuals need to start looking at, what news do we read? Is it the sport of man or the sport of woman? Is it the sport of certain genders, races as well, certain colours that we look towards? So it's not about judging. It's not about, trying to fix it from a sort of a limited point of view. But my personal responsibility is to make sure that I give every equal opportunity for my time and my spending. So I think we're all playing a role in creating this divide, and the sponsors just go where our eyes go. So how can we as individuals start putting our eyes on the females in the sport, or underrepresented, like the Paralympics, for example? That's a huge area, but it doesn't get half as much airtime as Olympics.